This past year, so much of our lives has been trying to figure out how do we navigate the unknown. For many of us, it's the first time we've ever experienced anxiety about taking a simple breath outside our front door for fear of all the unknowns that will come with this invisible virus. Then, as racial injustices have been unmasked in all sorts of places, we've been left wondering, what does it actually look like for love and justice to show up practically and tangibly? Not simply ideally, but then what's our specific role in that so that we can help our nation live up to what we say we believe about equality? And then there's been so many unknowns in regards to what it looks like to move forward in health as a country when there's so much political divisiveness, when there's been so much damage done to relationships with friends and with family, where there's things that have been said that can't be unsaid. And the trust we used to have in certain worldviews has been shattered for many of us. And we're not really sure what's next. We don't even know what simple realities will look like that we so easily used to take for granted, like gathering in person as a church, at school, at work, with friends and family at a restaurant, or even in our homes. We don't really know what any of that's going to look like in the future. But just like Mary, that very first Christmas, with so many things going on in her world and with so many unknowns that she was trying to process in her own mind about the future, what she did know was this baby right in front of her needed to be fed. That's what love looked like in that moment. To love here and now. And like the song that Christy just sang, there's a lot that many of us used to think that we knew for certain about God and what it meant to love God and who was in and who was out. But so much of that has thankfully, again, gotten exposed for what it is. And what we find ourselves left with is the very thing Jesus said sums up absolutely everything. Love. And to not merely love generally in the spirit of, well, of course I love people, but rather to love specifically. And to do that, we have to start right in front of us. So to help us all remember that, hopefully many of you were able to receive the gift that we passed out at our drive-through event last week, or that you were able to receive in the mail if you signed up to have one delivered to you. But it's this lantern, and it has this little candle inside. And if you weren't able to get one in advance, maybe you can picture a small lamp in your home, or another candle, or even maybe just the small Christmas lights on a tree in a darkened room. And the idea with this lantern is that it only lights up enough space around you for you to see the next few steps in front of you. There's plenty of unknown beyond the scope of where the light from this lantern can reach, but often what we need to be reminded of is, what does love look like right here and now, right in front of me, with what I can see right around me, and perhaps most importantly, with who I can see right around me. And our hope is that this lantern, or whatever you choose to help represent that same idea, that you'll be able to place it somewhere in your home as a visible and a tangible reminder to love here and now. Because you may not be able to figure out and solve all the unknowns that are out there currently in our world, but you can speak a kind word to the person in front of you. You can choose to show grace, understanding, and compassion to someone rather than contempt or disgust. You can choose to be generous and share what you have. You can reach out to that neighbor or friend that you know may be lonely rather than just assuming that someone else probably will do that. You can speak up when the person in front of you is getting mistreated or bullied or degraded, and not let them feel isolated. You can wear a mask during this pandemic. You can choose to clean out the dishes in the sink or take out the trash rather than assume it will just magically get done by someone else, and convincing yourself that someone else just likes to do those things. You can find a way to say, I love you. Find a way to say, you matter. You're so important to me. Rather than assuming, oh, surely they know that without me having to say it. And with so much unknown swirling around in the world, you can also just choose to feed the little baby in front of you. And friends, Christmas reminds us that's enough. because that's what love looks like, here and now, right in front of us. In Crosspoint, we're going to keep doing that together as a church. We're going to keep clothing and feeding people who need it. We're going to keep paying people's medical bills who are without any other options. We're going to keep paying people's rent and utility bills so that they don't get evicted. We're going to keep walking with people who are grieving and showing up for those who simply need to know that they're not alone. We're going to keep counseling and mentoring and helping people navigate relationships. We're going to keep paying for therapy to help people through trauma when they can't afford to on their own. We're going to advocate with our words and actions for racial and gender equality across all the various spectrums, and we're going to keep creating safe places for all of us to be loved, valued, and regarded as a precious child of God. And we're going to keep removing obstacles that got in the way of people knowing that they're loved by God and the life and freedom Christ invites us all into. And all of that, friends, all of that is what announcing the good news of Jesus looks like in our world. All of that is gospel. And I look forward to loving with you in that same spirit in 2021.